Yes, sir.
So, hi, this is Damien Marie AtHope, and I am an Axiological Atheist. And I'm here with my guest,
Bart Shankles.
and we're going to do an interview. Could you go ahead and tell us what kind of atheist you are?
I would say that as far as believing, well, I guess that's a bad word, but as far as what kind of atheist, I would say that I'm one who looks at things and there's nothing out there that gives me any rules that I can't come up with myself. I'm of course not 100% sure there's no God, but even if there were, especially the Judeo-Christian, that would not be one that I would not want to have to worship or fear anything because it's supposedly controlling my life.
So from what you said right there, are you saying that you don't believe because you don't want to believe, or you don't believe because you're not convinced to believe?
Oh, I'm not convinced, and
you see what I'm saying?
yeah, it's not. I mean, I would, of course, I might like to believe, but it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal to where I don't see any controlling factors, and so I'm definitely not convinced, and I'm not sure what would convince me.
Okay. So I wanted to address your statement about belief. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a systemic problem in atheism, that somehow we don't have beliefs. And I want to inform you, atheists, that itself is a belief. So understand in philosophy that what we want to focus on, and what we should focus on atheists, is justified true beliefs that we feel are knowledge. Not beliefs that are unjustified and untrue. And that really is what we need to focus on. Is not having any beliefs, but having ones that are justified and true. And so this goes to the thing that it's actually in philosophy called justified true belief equals knowledge. And this is started in Plato. It is very old, and it's been. But one of the ways that I try to break it down for people that are atheists is to help them. I use two other philosophy, because I was talking to someone about psychology today, about philosophy theories to back those two other elements before belief up. So something has to be justified, because it's justified true belief equals knowledge. So to justify something, there's a philosophy thing called reliabilism. In other words, that something has to be reliable for it to be justified. And this is very important when it comes to holy books. So atheists should really have reliabilism down. Reliabilism, first thing is that the source has got to be reliable. Otherwise, it cannot be justified. Well, since no holy book is a reliable source, we're done. We're done. You don't even have to finish the philosophy of how to come to a justified true belief. You're already done. It's not justified because it cannot be reliable. There's other parts to reliabilism. I'm not going to go in because I want to do the interview, but I want to address how you know something is true. There's a philosophy called the compatible. I'm forgetting now. The correspondence theory of truth. Correspondence theory of truth, there's 6 different elements it breaks down into, and you can go read it up on yourself. But I'll just tell you really quick, the most basic part of what it's really saying. The correspondence theory of truth is something to be true, it has to correspond with what you're saying or correspond to something in the real world. So if I say this is a man, I have to have a reason to validate in the real world why this is a man. If I say that I'm wearing glasses, they have to correspond to something in the real world for it to be glasses. So if I say something like God, what is a God? is a God? What could it correspond to in the real world that has some sort of a validity to say what a God is? So because of this, even if you could pass the justification, which you can't, because it's not reliable sources, even if you could do that, you can't say a God is true because the correspondence theory of truth demands that it corresponds to something true. And so, because of that, you can't get to belief. Not reasonably. And that's the issue that we need to focus on, is what is a reasonable belief. So, then the whole point too is that even if we get past those two, so you have justified and you have true, and now you got a belief. Yay, you got a belief. You know what though? Having a belief has to be validated before it can be knowledge. In other words, if I do something one time, like I'm a scientist, I do something one time, one test, I've proven this one time. But that doesn't mean it's going to be that same way every time. Just think of this. If someone says in a relationship, I love you, maybe at that moment they do. 10 years from now, is that still valid, that one time saying love? Probably not. Certainly wouldn't be trustable. It wouldn't be considered something you should believe. Because one time in 10 years you were told you were loved. Even if it was legitimate at that one time, or you believed it was, the validity does not hold out in the 10 years of only being said one time. And this is the same thing that you understand, that you need to have justified true beliefs to equal knowledge, but the belief, before it can be knowledge, even after it's passed the other tests, it has to be something that is valid. It's reproducible, it's provable. So, just to go back to so you should feel good to say belief.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's good. Because I always, and it's always like the comeback for them, like, this is what you believe that you don't believe, so, and I guess, I've watched, probably too many debates, where that, you want to, a lot of, I watch, because I watch the Atheist Experience too, and, and that's one of the, the things that you always hear on that, so it's like, but yeah, a belief is a non-belief or whatever non-belief is. Belief, so and you really just get caught up in semantics. Which is the thing which you might get.
Well, I'm trying to help you understand that when you say that, like you were saying about semantics, but see, a lot of atheists have this flawed opinion, which I don't like agnosticism, where they try to feel like that everyone's an agnostic. You don't have to be agnostic. Because first off, it's an improper understanding of how philosophy views knowledge and views beliefs. Because really, knowledge is a subset of belief. It's an epistemic property of belief. The same with certainty. Certainty is a epistemic property of belief. What certainty is, it's a high form of knowledge. So a belief, like I explained how a justified true belief will then equal knowledge, and then a knowledge that's valid and provable and reproducible that becomes certainty. Okay. I mean, that's how it should follow. So
exactly.
So those things are all connected, but it's like an extension of. It starts here, you have a belief, and then once it becomes validated, then it becomes knowledge, and once knowledge becomes reproducible and provable, then it becomes certainty. I think that that's how I see it.
Right. No, that definitely, that's a good explanation, yeah, because, it always is, that comes up, so it's like, and that may or may not stop the whole debate or argument.
Right.
Get stuck on that.
So I wanted to say, so were you always an unbeliever, or were you raised?
No, actually I was raised Southern Baptist, and I would say, I remember getting baptized maybe because I can remember walking down the aisle or whatever, and it was something that that you just did, it wasn't like I had any reason for it. It's just like a couple of my friends did it or whatever, and then then I always thought it was the craziness of in our church, it was behind the choir, where they had a little tub of water or whatever, and they had the curtains, and everyone, and the dude got in there with his clothes on, and I always thought that was kind of weird. But
did you think it was true, or you just thought it was weird?
I just thought it was weird. I don't know if I've ever, really believed, but the things I always questioned was the fear thing. Is like the fear and the worship, to where like, why do you have to do either, or especially both? You know, because that just didn't make sense to me. You know, because then they'd go to the fear and then they'd break out the love word, of course. You know, and so.
Yeah.
A little confusing.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it was, you know, it was never, you know, but it's something, you know, and also another thing, just, you know, it's a silly thing, but how, like, everyone always had to put their church clothes on. And I was like, I never understood.
Special for Jesus.
Yeah, I never understood, like, why I had to, I said, you know, I always say, you know, if you really are believing in whatever, you know, why do I have to wear some clothes, you know? And also, always where you go, you know, our church had this sanctuary, you know, and had all this stained glass and crap in it, you know, so, you know, I just never liked the pomp and circumstance. I really didn't get, you know, so, you know, like I said, we you know, only, my mom made us go to church pretty much every Sunday. We used to do some Wednesday night stuff too. That was mainly just to go eat, you know, get a free meal or something. Then, you know, after high school, I went off to college, and I mean, I pretty much just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just nothing, you know, because the people I hung out with were.
So did you tell people that you didn't believe, or you just?
No, it would like just never was a subject, or never like, you know, like I said, it was just something that I just kind of, you know, quit thinking about. You know, and
so you didn't hide it out of fear of being prosecuted or persecuted?
No, you know, and I mean, I don't know what I would have, like I said, I never really had that many conversations about it, you know, because I guess that's one of those things where, you know, people, you always see the people that just go through the motions and, you know, go to church some Sundays or go, you know, I always, I guess, ended up going on Christmas and maybe Easter or whatever. That was, you know, pretty much it. Like I said, it was just never really something I really thought about until about, until a couple of years ago. One of my good buddies I played guitar with, we would talk about it occasionally, you know, and he would, you know, and back then I guess I kind of, as I started thinking about it, I described myself as an agnostic. Mm-hmm. For one, because like I said, I never really thought about it enough to say, you know, that I was an atheist. And also, you know, as you know, that word is not a good one, you know, as far as how it's perceived.
Atheist?
Yeah. Some people hear atheist and they think horns and
well, they think Satan worship, which I don't know how they put that together. It's like atheists, they don't believe nothing, so I don't.
So, you know, because I remember us having a few conversations, and what I would tell him was, you know, it's not, I could care less, you know, and, you know, because he would talk, you know, he would say, you know, he believes, but, you know, nothing real firm or whatever. And then he went on this little trek where he was like 2 years on the road, just hitchhiking and living some places and whatever, trying to find himself, whatever. And then about 2 years ago, he ended up in California, and you know, I guess, you know, living on the road and wherever in tents or wherever he can, I guess, you know, that can be pretty harsh on you, obviously. You know?
Oh yeah.
And so I guess he got to a point to where it's a pretty low point or something, and then of course that's always where they come and swoop you in, you know.
Yeah.
And he started hanging out, I guess, with some Mennonites, and because I can remember kind of the day that I said that I'm really an atheist. You know, I actually just, you know, vocalized the words. Is that we had talked one time, and I'd asked him if he was still playing his guitar. He said, "No, man, he had to sell it a while back and doesn't play anymore." And then he messaged, put something on his Facebook saying that he felt bad because he had told a good friend that he didn't play the guitar anymore because he had lost it. He said, "But that's not really true. What it was is that he started." He didn't say he was a Mennonite, but he found some people, and he was starting, I can't remember the exact words, but pretty much it said he quit playing music because I assumed that it was because the Mennonite, and I looked at some stuff about Mennonites, and I assumed that they don't play music or something happened, but it was because of that religion. So, you know, and he had done, some stuff in his past or whatever, and had, a few little addictions here or there, but then it became the Jesus addiction.
Yeah.
I traded all those for that, and it was just, and it was like a switch just flipped. And it was just Jesus, all this, all it's from one point on, all this Facebook posts are all Bible verses and all kind of stuff. And so that's when really I was like, wow, if that's what that does to someone, then something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
And because I remember I post stuff occasionally, and I remember him asking me, he's like, I thought you were agnostic, not atheist, See, that's when they start getting into the semantics of they don't know what the difference is or whatever, And to be honest, I didn't really myself, but I knew at that point I had strong feelings about it.
So I want to clarify for everybody, because you made a statement about agnostic. I'm an anti-agnostic, but I'm not anti-people. I'm anti the belief that we need to doubt. But so I want to address first what you said about agnostic and atheist. Okay, I want to say that every person who says they're an agnostic is already an atheist, a weak atheist, unless you believe that gods are real. The moment that you say you do not believe, whether you doubt the belief, doesn't make any difference at all. You are a weak atheist. So all agnostics that say they're agnostic are already an atheist, just so you know. Unless you're a believer, then you're still a believer. You believe, but you doubt. So if you doubt but you do not believe, that makes you an atheist. But anyways, so go ahead.
So so then I started. Then I actually came across. I started looking at some stuff on YouTube stuff, and came across the atheist experience, and actually started listening to a bunch of Hitchens and Dawkins, and those guys pretty much put me over the edge with it, to where this just the way that they explain things,
right?
Because it is hard sometimes to explain, and especially to someone to have everyone that's supposed believers, but it's such that's like the common thing here, and so people don't understand, and and I told my mom. I told her, a few months ago that I was going to go to this atheist convention. She was like, "Wait, you're an atheist?" I said, "I thought you were agnostic." Because like I said, it's the thing, but it's like it's easier. It's easier for believers because, like I said, I listen to some preacher shows occasionally, and a lot lately, man, they're like atheists. They coming out strong again, saying it, because I think used to they probably say non-believers or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's like so that's where she gets her thing. And I had friended my uncle, and he could see my posts and stuff. And for some weird reason, 4 or 5 months ago, he showed my mom some of them, and she was like, "Please unfriend him. He don't want to see that stuff." She said, "I want to see this radical stuff." I'm like, "What?" And that kind of shocked me that she thinks that I'm radical. I'm like, wow, she's a sweet lady, Southern bad, Southern lady. And she's, and I try to talk to her about, like, Mom, I said, because she's been through a lot of shit. And I'm like, really? But the thing is, she doesn't want to, and most times she says, "I don't want to talk about it." It's like when it's like, so, but I would like to talk to her about it, just to explain, to her, because where, right now she's saying some radical or whatever, but she knows how I live, how, what I do for people or whatever,
Have you thought of just asking her and saying, "I would really like to just tell you about me"?
Yeah.
Not to tell you what to believe, but tell you about me.
And I know
so maybe you should try that. I know with my dad and my mom, we're both friends on Facebook. My stepdad, actually, not my real father, but my stepdad told me that your posts are too much. I would like you to tone it down. And I said, "I'll fix that problem for you." And I unfriended his ass.
Exactly.
And my mom, because I did that, decided that maybe she shouldn't tell me that. And I told her, I don't go on your Facebook, and I don't complain that you post about Jesus, because that's your right to.
Are they both believers?
They're both. They're assistant pastors at Celebrate Recovery at Rick Warren's church, Saddleback in California.
Wow.
And my real father is connected to Calvary Chapel in Costa Mesa, which I think has some ties with Ray Comfort.
Oh, jeez.
So real good. But anyway,
they got some big connections.
They have some big sad connections, and then they have me. You know, you can imagine the prayers they must go through.
No, they still believe in prayer. You know.
Oh, they totally believe in prayer, unfortunately. But so I understand the thing, and so I tell everybody, I'm an axiological atheist. I put value before everything. So that includes my disbelief. To me, the value is the worth of human beings. And to me, I do not tell people what to believe, neither atheist or believer. I tell people what I believe, and I tell them my reasons for believing. I do not try to make people feel ashamed, and I do not attack people. I attack ideas. People get sometimes ashamed because I'll attack ideas. Because I am brutal with ideas. Because ideas do not have a dignity to violate. They don't have a right to exist. People have a dignity. People have a right to exist. And I honor and value people's right. And so, like my mom says, you know so much, but you're so nice to me. I would be the same way with everybody. I'm sorry, you're not special. Because I'm not out to force anybody to do anything. I certainly don't want nobody fucking forcing me. And so I think that when you come with a different attitude, even if like I say harsh things, I don't attack the person personally ever. And so sometimes that allows a dialogue or allows them to think about things I say, even though I say things that are harsh. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and my mom one time asked me some stuff, and then she said, I don't want to hear anymore. Yeah. And I said I respect that, but respect that I'm still going to say and do whatever I want. And I expect her to do the same. I said, because she said, when you come over to my house, will you pray with us? And I said, no, I won't. I said, would you come over to my house and read atheist books? And she says, no, I won't. I go, then you understand why I won't.
Exactly.
But I respect, if you came to my house, I will still read my atheist books in front of you. And I expect to come to your house and you still pray in front of me. But I won't be involved.
Exactly. Oh yeah, well, that's what my mom does. That, I mean, she kind of half-heartedly always likes to, when we're all together, to, pray sometimes before each meal. That's into every meal, but I, like I said, I don't let her do her thing. It's especially if she cooked the food.
Right. Well,
but I mean,
and so let me just address one thing. You said I let her, and just for me personally, I don't let people have rights. They already have them. Right. I don't deny.
Right, yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying when you said that, it reminded me that of how I see it different than some people. No one gives me the right to be me. Like when some people say, well, you have the right to think the way you do. Yeah, and you don't give me that right. It's already mine. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying. Sometimes people say that all.
I got letters. You're okay. You have permission.
Right, permission. Because when people do that all the time, they'll say the Christians or believers will say, well, you have the right to think that way. Yeah, and you didn't give me that right. It's mine. Mm-hmm. And that's why I try to treat the other people, though. They have a right. Mm-hmm. I don't give them the right to be a believer. So that's why I'm just saying how I see it a little different than some atheists do. I don't give them their rights. It's already theirs. Yeah. So I don't have a right but I do have a right to voice my opinion. And they have the right to voice theirs. Mm-hmm. They're wrong, but...
Exactly, yeah. Because my grandma just died a few months back, and it was interesting at the funeral, I knew it was going to be, she was a big, she's a big believer. Unfortunately, she was a big Fox News hound too. And she died.
Does she read the stats on their truthfulness?
She doesn't. She did.
It's like 26% true.
She'd had a little sticker on her car about the war on Christmas or whatever. But the funeral, it was interesting because I'd heard a quote from. Dawkins was talking about how he goes around and him and his wife go around and they're talking about what their funerals they do, they do secular funerals. And he said that sometimes his wife likes to go to the Christian funerals or whatever, because the only thing that makes her not completely break down is when they bring up all the crazy prayers and stuff from the Bible, and it gets her laughing. And I mean, because my younger brother is atheist also, and just at the funeral he was sitting next to me. I mean, there's sometimes where, like I said, I was bawling, and then they'd say some crazy shit, and I could see him just like barely holding back, But I mean, and the bad thing was, they're preaching hellfire too. Even my aunt, who's a pretty big Christian, it's like, wow, that was a little much, because it wasn't about my grandma. It was more about the whole Jesus thing, And it's like, wow, it's too bad. And he told some story from that guy. I wish I could remember it. And he started it out, and I thought it was going to be a story about my grandma. And it was some story in the Bible. I can't remember, some offhand story I've never even heard. But I was like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because then we went and buried her, and I thought it was the weirdest thing that everyone left before they lowered her to the ground, because and the only people stayed with me, my brother, which we're the only two non-believers. Maybe you never know, but and everyone else cruised, and I figured out that maybe because they don't want to actually see that she's in the ground. That's where she is.
That's interesting.
That's like, but I wanted to see her put in the ground. But they left beforehand. So why did I?
Yeah, why?
Because
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just asking.
But because I mean, I don't know exactly why. I just thought that
was
was very important that that I see exactly where she was so now when they cover her up and stuff, I can see with the position in the casket, where it was, and I'm just I don't. It was just something that I needed to see.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
When she was being lowered, I mean, it was, it was heart-wrenching, but...
Did it feel comforting to see her? Or was it just heart-wrenching?
It was hard. I guess there's fairly, like I said, for me to, put, to close the book on her, I needed to see that and be like, because I think, that's where she is. That's it. So that I wanted to see her final resting place. So how,
speaking of that, how would you want your body to be treated? Would you want it to be put in the ground? See, for me personally, as an atheist, I don't think my body has any meaning at all. And if it can help someone in science, or it can, I'm not saying you have to think this way, I'm saying this is me personally, or any other atheist. I'm just saying me personally, I don't see my body as anything. If my body after death can help someone have eyes, can help someone have lungs or a hand or anything in a part of me, I want to give back. So I have no ties and no sacredness to my body. For me personally, I'm just an animal, an evolved animal, and I don't see that I'm any different. I mean, I have a specialness as a human being, but after death, I don't have any relevance. I do have memories that will live on in other people, but my body itself, if I can do anything to help the world with my body, I don't want my body put in the ground.
Mm-hmm. That's I haven't thought exactly like that, but that about having your body used for science or whatever.
How does it make you feel when?
But what I've always thought is that what I would want to do if I was buried, I would want to be just put in the ground and dirt covered over me, and not even in a casket or whatever. So I can immediately start being eaten.
Can you even do that?
It's not legal. It's not legal. But I always thought, or give me like a cheap pine box or whatever, something that's gonna
What's the difference?
Not like my grandma. They put her coffin in this in a bigger coffin. I'm like, man, she's gonna be gone before like any of the animals or anything are able to get to her. So that was my thing. I'd love to just go so I could just get back out, just so.
Yeah. That's really why can't you be buried?
I think I don't know. Supposedly health,
Health.
I know health purposes. I guess they don't want people to be going around and throwing people in holes or whatever. You know, but that would be.
Oh, that is hilarious.
But like I said, that's what I've always thought. You know, that's so I can go back. You know, so everything is a full circle. You know.
I mean, if I will say that if I had to be buried, I'm with you. Fuck the coffin. Just stick me in the ground.
Yeah.
That sounds like a way better way to go.
Exactly. And then actually, if there's flowers that grow above your grave, whatever, that's actually you.
Why would you want to be buried in a box? What the fuck?
I don't know. Especially if you're buried like in concrete and like, shit, what's that? I don't know. It's just the funny thing that they think that that's not it, but then they will have to have this place where they go to look at them, and it's like,
or a place that the dirt can't touch them. They're like safe.
Exactly. Yeah. So that, but yeah, I'd always thought
I don't
that
think
was
that
weird.
way.
But that was, like I said, but that was just a weird experience. That I always thought it was just weird that that everyone cursed and this my brother left, and like I said, though it was good because then we got our own time with her because we had the because even at the gravesite you got all the preaching and stuff, so couldn't get away from the preaching. And also it's weird. I don't know if it's more like the white race or whatever. The white people are so much subtle, no one's like really crying out loud and all that, and it's like, and if there's one person who does, then, it looks like people are looking at them or just, whatever, like, wow, they're like holding back. It's like, this is it. Y'all need to, get it out now and be done with it,
right.
So that, I was actually glad everyone left. I'm like, wow, we can have some time there. And,
a lot of people have a feeling of shame of showing feelings in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. I show feelings all the time. But then again, I also kind of don't give a fuck what people think.
No.
I usually say I don't live my life for other people's opinions, like whatever. Because I always say, if you have different ways of doing things, no one can really say what's the right way to live your life. But I can tell you what's the wrong way for almost everybody. It's trying to live your life for everybody else. That's universally wrong for almost anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you won't please anyone or yourself.
You're not pleasing yourself. If you tried to live up to what every single person in the world could think about you, you're fucked. You might as well give that shit up.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why it's so funny. Like some people say that they don't like, or they think my atheism is too strong, or I'm gonna offend people. Yeah, I'm gonna offend people.
Yeah.
Okay. And?
Exactly, yeah,
whatever.
it's there, and it's funny because a lot of them are easily offended,
Yeah.
because a lot of them just aren't used to being talked to that way, or for they assume because they've had such control that atheists pretty much had to be in the closet, because that's one thing where even like I'm a painter. I own a painting company, and as far as like with my clients, I keep it fairly hush hush, because that is one thing where some people are have one client I was talking to her about like the Israeli-Palestine deal and how Palestine's been occupied and all this stuff, and I knew she was a huge Christian and big right-winger, but she'll talk a little bit of politics to me. I don't talk much politics with my clients either.
Right.
But she's like, no, that's their land. It's in the Bible. And I was like, all right, this conversation's over. Because I don't want to go any further because that's just craziness. But so, you know what, sometimes you guys, that's the only problem. I mean, people are scared, to come out and whatever. And I used to not post much until after my buddy kind of set me off. Because, people do look at that and be like, for business wise, you can be screwed.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it sucks, But I didn't have one other client that it's funny. It's been about a year ago. I worked for her a couple days before Easter, and she's like, yeah. She asked me a couple times to go to church. I was like, and then I was like, man, I'm tired of making up excuses, And so I told her I was agnostic, because like I said, it's just easier on the tongue for them. And so, but she was actually cool with it. She's like, oh yeah, you don't have to come listen to it. She said, we have cool bands, because we're, I played some music. I said, yeah, I know they have some cool church bands, That's the other thing they're trying to do now, they have these huge full bands, which kind of draws the young kids, but then what you see, then young kids could, we got like Hutchinson and Indiana, and they're actually kind of doing our work for us because young kids don't give a shit about the gay.
Yeah.
And they're like, look at them like, wow, what are these religious people doing?
Yeah, I know. I grew up in Southern California, and they used to do punk concerts, Christian punk concerts, at the church. I've done slam dancing in a church at night on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to Christian punk concerts with slam dancing.
Wow.
What's so funny is that that never made me want to read the Bible more. I just, like you said, I just like the music. We got to go slam dance and stuff, and we said we were Christians. I don't know how they think that somehow. Yeah, you're gonna go. No, you know what? You go because the music. Do you know what really matters? The music.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
they just want people in the seats there.
Yeah, that's like I listened to Slayer as a Christian. I never turned atheist or a Satanist. I mean, it doesn't. That stuff doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, but they think it does.
They think it does.
And like I said, it gets them to go. Gets the kids to go sometimes, and they think it gets them interested in it.
Right, but it shows the disingenuous to me because they're saying that they have to use manipulation to trick you in to God.
Well, look at they start early with Santa Claus and about that stuff. So then time you chuck that, it's like. It's all just it's all myth stuff, and I think a lot of people kind of think about that. They're just like I said, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared of everyone's scared of death and where you're gonna go, and like going to hell or whatever, and if
and so some people are in bad environments where, like you were talking about, job or even their life, where it could be risking their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I try to be out there as much as possible. Some because of just who I am, I have the right to say it. Some because I want to attack beliefs. Some because I want to be there and as an avenue for atheists to learn stuff. And the other is I really feel that because of my environment, I have the opportunity to be something other people cannot. Mm-hmm. Other people, I have friends from other countries that if they said they're atheists, they'd probably get killed.
Yeah.
So they really, appreciate, and they don't always post my stuff. Sometimes I don't even like my stuff, but they tell me privately, that they appreciate, what I'm doing because I'm making an impact.
No, definitely. We definitely need people like you because there are. I mean, like I said, I'll post some of your stuff and then I'll just post some of the stuff to myself from it.
Right.
The ones that because like I said, some people are easily offended and but it does. But you do wonder that it does. Some people are reading it and thinking. They won't let you know about it. But they're like, because but then of course I get other people like, oh man, all you post this crazy atheist stuff all the time, I mean, a couple of my buddies that laugh about it or whatever. But then, it ends up. I had one buddy that thanked me because he said that his son asked him what happened. I don't know if it was at school or something. They're talking about what happens after you die, and he said. He almost went into the heaven and hell thing, but he thought about me and some stuff that we talked about. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. So he asked his son, what do you think? And his son came up with this, something about space and planets. I mean, it was really cool. It's like, wow, that's an imagination. He's like, yep, that's my free-thinking son. It's like, right on. But he gave him a chance to do it, and what his son came up with was pretty cool. Like, wow, that's, if you think that, there's nothing wrong with that. So, it's like, but you make it up yourself, but it wasn't, any
personally to me, children, psychologically, I know that children before 7 years old, they only think in magical thinking. Mm-hmm. So I don't think even if you are an atheist parent, you should be trying to push ideas or make them feel bad if they believe in magical things, because that is what children, they think in magical thinking.
Right.
Then until about 12 and 13, they use a little bit of critical thinking, but not really. It's kind of in and out of magical thinking. That's why to me it's so important not to indoctrinate children. No matter if you're an atheist or you're a believer, your children are constantly, figuring out the world. I think that's the best thing is what do you believe? You get them to ask questions. Well, why do you believe that? Okay, and then just accept what they say. I don't think you should be pushing them either way because the children, are not emotionally and cognitively ready to hear stuff. I think that you can motivate, positive thinking, but I think that we need to understand, like scientifically, what a child is going through in general to understand, their psychological state. They're not adults.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't forget that. And so I think it's terrorizing and child abuse when they're made to have fear and made to feel shame at these such young ages. It's horrid to me.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some guy on NPR that's been interviewed. He's a Christian gay or something like that. He had some book out, and several times he had said, I've been a Christian since I was 3. I was like, well, and I had to comment on it. So, okay, there's no way, you may have been dumped at 3, but that's how that's a psychology of it. It's like, wow, and so they can't get out, and that's like a badge of honor or something, like I've been a Christian since I was 3. Like, no, really?
Yeah, would you accept a political opinion from a 3-year-old?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
really?
But you don't have any little Republicans or Democrats or anything, it's like, but yeah,
that's just sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but that's, and he was trying to, it's funny, he was trying to do some Bible verses that showed that the Bible wasn't against the gays or whatever, and I always find that just kind of laughable when you get the Christian on Christian. One of them's trying to read the Bible for this, the other's trying to read the Bible, and then like, wait, look at y'all. Just if you would step back for a minute, then you would see that, wow, it's all interpretation, and it's a bunch of crazy stuff.
Well, I always remind Christians when they start talking about they have the one truth, and if I just read the Bible, I'll find the truth. First off, I read the Bible. I was a Christian for 36 years. I've actually read 2 different versions of the Bible, the NIV, and I also read, the King James. But that's irrelevant. Let's just look at the facts. That there's 41,000 denominations or sects of Christian in the world. Reading this one book that supposedly, if you read it, you will get the truth. How can it be that one book with one truth has so many different varieties and versions, and people that don't even, and some of those 41,000 denominations in the world actually hate each other.
Oh, exactly.
Think the other denomination is going to fucking hell.
Oh, yeah. Well, I find it where some of them have a little more vitriol for other Christians than they do for atheists. Because they're actually battling them for numbers. And the atheists, they figure out, if you're going to be an atheist, you're not going to convert or whatever. But if you're already a Christian, then you need to be thinking the right way.
I actually met a fundamentalist Christian in California at a debate, and he told me that he likes us atheists more than he likes Mormons. I just laughed my ass off. What the fuck is the difference?
Exactly, yeah. But see, they think that they're slandering their book. So it's like their interpretation of it, or whatever. But yeah, because I like watching Christian on Christian debates too. So it's interesting because that's where I get a lot of my good stuff from. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that, and they're coming at him. They definitely hate the Mormons though. Although they didn't hate him worse, than voting for a black guy.
Yeah.
Because the one thing, I did have a conversation with my grandma one time. Mom always told me not to get into religion or politics with her when we got up there. But one time we were alone and we were talking about, I forgot what came up, but Mormonism came up. Mm-hmm. And so we both got a good laugh out of it. I was like, wow, she's like, yeah, that's a cult, they believe in all this stuff. But then I didn't go to the further step as far as like, well, so you're still going to vote for Romney, even though he's in a cult, but can't vote for the black guy, But it's like
you don't know they think he's a Muslim or an atheist or both, because that makes sense.
Exactly.
Right, he's a Christian Muslim atheist. Oh, okay.
Then they always love it, and they always tell him, but that's not a real Christian. not real Christian. You know,
Yeah. What's a what's a
exactly.
trademark real Christian?
Find me one. You know, it's like, but that's
See, I would say to me, what a real Christian would be a terrorist. So yeah, that's a real Christian. Because
exactly.
if you follow the terrorism in the Bible, well, of course you should have a rape marriage because you know the Bible definitely supports that. I mean, it's so funny. The Ten Commandments does not even list rape as one of the things you shouldn't do.
He has to get himself in there the first 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, he makes sure that the worst sin is to not believe. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he could say that's established, you know.
I mean, it's worse than murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't believe is worse than murder.
Yeah. Well, because you can murder and then repent and then believe. And then
See,
then
there you
cool.
go. But I think it's interesting if it's a book of morals and the Ten Commandments are a moral set of laws. Why is disobeying your mother and father before murder? I mean, who would say that, any morals at all, would say that's reasonable? There's not, even though we have unreasonable courts in the world, no court in the world puts murder below disobeying your parents. No court. Not even Sharia law, not even fucking anywhere. But the Bible and the one God with the one truth seems to not understand the most simple, basic morality that everyone in the entire world gets. But
it's the structure, you know, that way they could have the hierarchy. And
hierarchy.
You know, that's the big
So
deal.
really it's not about morality, it's just about power.
That's what it's all about. It's about, you know, it's about herding the cats, you know. And that's the easy way to do it, you know, because, you know, they got the patriarchal society, and it's like, you know, it's
Oh yeah, if you've read any of my posts, you know I'm not for patriarchy.
I know that.
You know that shit. And you know
so
I
that's the last of that too, because that's, I mean, it's disgusting. I saw that, did you see that one dude out there with the sign on his...
no, I would have said something too.
But I don't know, I got into it a little bit with him, because I'd never really encountered anyone like that, so I thought it'd be interesting or whatever, but then he was talking about Adam and Eve, and how, you know, God made Adam and then made Eve for Adam, and he, you know, so I tried to...
Well, no, that's only one version of the story.
And that's what I told him, what I told him, and then the other time, they were at the same time.
That version, right?
Exactly. And I tried to tell him that, he's like, no, or you just misinterpreting it, or whatever.
Right,
you know,
because there's another version of that same recreation story.
Yeah. Where, poof, they're at the same time.
Or at the same time, because God created them both in the image.
Yeah. But they like the ones where man comes first.
Of course they do.
And that gives them everything.
Right,
you know,
our dominance.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, that was so funny. One of the most saddest things, why everyone should really realize the morality of any religion is really, should be questionable, is the fact that almost universally, the one thing that religions have in common is an absolute degrading and disrespect for women. I mean, even Buddhism, which a lot of people think is a benign or actually positive religion, the Buddha did not believe women could be priests. The Buddha did not believe that women could achieve enlightenment. The only way a woman could achieve enlightenment was to do good things and have good karma and be able to be reborn as a, guess what, man. And then finally she could be able to be, you know, enlightened. It's fucking sickening how religion does this. It's universally a problem that somehow, it's so funny to me, a lot of even people that are not believers, they have this opinion, somehow if women get power that men lose theirs, which is very odd to me, since most men respect powerful men.
Exactly.
So what the fuck is up with that shit? I mean, I don't even get that. Most men look up to powerful men, but they want their women to be below them. Because that makes fucking sense.
Yeah, they don't want any more competition out there. Yeah, but it's that's always, it was always one that's where, you know, where it doesn't say, you know, where, you know, the women, you know, listen to your man, and also, like, I always thought this funny.
Well, it says, I remember, don't speak in church.
Yeah, and also I didn't realize that, you know, like in the Quran, supposedly there's no verse about actually women being covered, but in the Bible it actually is in there. And I always wondered why everyone wore all the funny hats to church.
True.
Know? I'm like, is that why? And I bet if that's why, they don't know that that's why. They're just trying to be like stylish or whatever, they don't know exactly why the tradition maybe came down. They may have looked at it as tradition, but it was actually in the Bible saying that once they walk into the house of the Lord, their heads need to be covered, because something about like where a guy can get to the man's brain. I don't know. It was weird.
Yes.
It's weird. I forget what the verse said, but it was like.
Well, and it says too that a woman that doesn't cover her head deserves to have her hair cut off. Because of course that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're already not covered, we must make you bald so that you're less covered.
Exactly. Yeah. That's.
Well, I think it doesn't say to actually shave her head. It just says that she's just as shameful as if her hair was cut off.
Yeah.
Whatever. Same nonsense.
It's insanity. Is what it is. The more and more that I get into it, it's like, wow, it's.
I was just saying, if religion was true and we're all simply created, then I don't get where they think that women are less. I mean, what the? It was actually funny to me when I started losing religion, started investigating like the origins of religion for my book, The Tree of Lies and Its Hidden Roots, is that really a lot of the older religions were actually goddess-based, or had goddesses in them, or had a different, like the oldest shaman ever found in the world is in Israel. It's about 9,000 to 10,000 years ago, and it was a female. And then the next oldest shaman found in, I think it's Romania, was also female. And then the one after that, a female.
Yeah.
So the oldest shamans in the world, which would be considered to be, like the indigenous religions, female. So how we get to this male-dominated bullshit, I have no fucking clue. Well, actually, I do have a clue. I wrote it in my book, but because I would say that really what happened, you can see it from the art. Somewhere around 12 to 13,000 years ago, or 11 somewhere. I don't remember exactly how I put it in my book, because I'm not very good at details to remember off the top of my head. But it's somewhere on there that in southeast Turkey, there's the first animal husbandry. When you start to have man domesticating plants, domesticating animals. Before this, there's a lot of figurines that you see of female, naked. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But there's a lot of female figurines, and this goes back, even the oldest one is actually 250,000 years ago. And there's ever all over the Europe, and they're all over even Africa and different places. There's all this constant, almost always female. There's a few phallic symbols, and there's one or two male symbols, but it's almost universally all female. But it gets to that point in southeast Turkey, and it's the first time that you have art at 12,000 years of a woman with her legs open, going from kind of naked to sexual.
Huh.
And I think that this is the beginning of the downfall of women, as far as when it comes to religion. It's not the end-all, do-all, but the sexualizing of women, seen as an object. And I think it happened, I write in my book, because I think it happened when they were able to actually control how animals had babies. They stopped seeing women having babies as a sacred thing as much as it used to be. It wasn't as much magic. All of a sudden they understood it more. And it changed their view. Before, women, it's amazing, babies come out, it's amazing. All of a sudden, hey, you do this, that makes babies. And then about 7,000 years ago, there's a place in Hungary that until it's about, it's a couple thousand years of the same burials. And I don't think this is specific just to Hungary. It's kind of universal at the time of how things are evolving. But because over in Hungary, there's this continual burial of the society and no outside influence, you can see how they change their burials. This shows the difference of how the status of women goes. It starts off where women and men almost get universally the same grave goods. Like grave goods is like little trinkets or whatever, right, for religious, or for significance, or for care or whatever. Right. But all of a sudden, as it goes down to 5,000, you start to see the men having and the women having almost nothing.
Huh.
You can totally see which is interesting because about 5,000 years ago is almost when the prominence of a male god hits the scene. And also you start to see, like I said, it correlates with the women being at a lower status at that point. Because there actually was women rulers at 6,000 and down to 4,000, 3,000. Sort of a couple, even in the Middle East. So what happens is that basically the society and the religion, I always say that to me, man became domesticated and God became domesticated. Religion became domesticated. All these things start to be, because before it's like kind of naturalistic, it's just kind of do whatever. Even if there was religion before, there's not really an oppression of religion. Like, there's not, you have to believe this. Mm-hmm. It's more like everyone has these different beliefs and these different things. That's why pantheism definitely is at the beginning too, because everybody has these different things. You get this new God. Oh, your God, I like it. So you start worshiping. I'll worship mine too. Hey, check out mine out. Oh, I like yours. So everybody, there's no like doctrine. There's no force at the beginning. And then, so 5,000 years ago is with the first, especially city-states in southern Mesopotamia are made, and they build a structure in the center town, and they build the town around the religion. Mm. And that's when it really changes. Because then the priest becomes the priest king and the ruler, and then women become a property of the king to carry on lineages of the king. So women's status drops immensely by 5,000. Everything above that, women have a somewhat more equal, but once after 5,000, it really starts dropping.
So we're like, I don't know how far back Zoroastrianism started.
Zoroastrianism is about anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000, something around there.
Was that the first one where he combined, he was first to come out with one God theory?
Well, yes and no. Yeah, I mean, really the first one before him, but see also, it's very hard too because it's like Buddhism. There's no, Zoroastrianism, iffy. Did it start in Iran? Did it start in Afghanistan? Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah, because my thing so I'm just saying that there's it's a harder question than I think you may read and it says, oh, it started in Iran, it was this religion at this time, it was, yes, there was a king that made it the religion official. Was it around before that? Probably.
Because see, I'd heard that, like I was looking a little bit of research on it, and where it was like maybe the first one that had the one God.
But I would say Egypt was the first one to have the one concept.
Oh yeah, but his idea, was that it was for one, it was a personal belief. And everyone had their, and you pretty much kept to yourselves. And the thing where it seemed like, okay, when the thing about heaven and hell is where you went up, when your body went up, whatever. But they put the good you did and the bad you did. The good outweighed the bad, but in heaven. Didn't? No, they're not.
Well, yeah, that had a massive effect on all the Abrahamic religions. Mm-hmm. But that's because they actually went to. They migrated to Persia and all that.
Right. Because I'd heard of.
But it's like they were affected big by the Babylonians when they were taken out and basically. Right. So I mean, there's that religion has, but all of that was affected from Turkey. Everyone needs to understand the origin of almost all the major religions in the world have an impact in some way from Southeast Turkey. Mm-hmm. Starting about anywhere from 13 to 11,000 years ago. Yeah. That has more impact. Also, the Indo-European languages all come out of Turkey about 10,000 years ago, mm-hmm. along with animal husbandry and farming mm-hmm. and agriculture.
No, it wasn't the Tower of Babel?
No.
Just kidding. No. Isn't that where all the languages came from?
No, that's just say 10,000 years ago. Yeah. Their languages, but just anyway. So, dude, what are you planning to do with your future towards atheism? Are you going to stay the same, or are you planning to get more involved?
Man, I'll probably slowly get more involved. Like I said, it's something. And there's the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers, and I'm start. Get a little more involved with them. Like I said, I'm just kind of, letting it out little by little. because like I said, it can affect. All I worry about is it affecting my business.
Right.
I care less about the personal relationships and stuff, except, but even my family,
Have you thought about making a page that's not connected to your real name?
Yeah, I didn't think you could do that anymore. I heard it, but I see.
Well, I think only if someone questions. Someone like me, I've had my name turned in twice.
Right.
But I know one of the reasons is because they try to figure any way they can to attack me,
Right,
because I post so much. That's like I posted one today about Jesus, and he's on like a marionette strings, and it says, I don't believe in a puppet God, and this one person tried to like turn me in and say, that this is I don't know what it was. I don't know. He said something like, "Fuck you, Illuminati, some bullshit."
Yeah. That Christians always use some good language too, don't they?
I want this taken off. You need to take this off now.
Yeah.
That'll happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that'd be something interesting to for me to look at. Yeah.
Well, I think that, or you can make a blog in your name, or you can write, blog not in your name, as I meant to say, or you can write a thing in your name, or you could even do videos and not in your name. I know one guy does videos with a face mask on.
Oh, really?
He doesn't say his name.
Yeah.
He does all kinds of atheist videos and he doesn't say his name. I say my name because my whole life is open, so...
Right, exactly.
Like I said,
as it gets a little more, that's a good thing about the internet, and, that for one, that's the best demise for religion anyway.
Definitely.
But also, like I said, a lot of people are thinking about it that don't say that out loud. Don't say it out loud. They're like,
Right.
They kind of agree with some things, and as I've talked to one or two of my buddies, they're like, they'll come to off to the ledge with me. They won't jump off, but they're at least they're looking down and seeing what's interesting, but they're still caught up. Like I said, society just has a hold on everyone. Like if you especially have kids, and have your parents, they want you to go do this and go to church and and so it's hard for people to it is hard for people to get out and actually say in private they'll say stuff but.
Right, but so some people say like some of my stuff won't help people change belief or won't help that. Some of my stuff isn't to do that. It's not for not trying to change anyone. Some of the stuff is for atheists.
Mm-hmm.
I post stuff so atheists can smile.
Exactly.
I post stuff so atheists can feel good.
Exactly.
I post stuff so that atheists can be more atheist, can change or feel good just being an atheist. Some of my stuff has. I go, well, do you think this is going to change a believer? I'm sorry. You think that's all I ever post is shit to try to affect believers? Sometimes I'm just talking to atheists, just so that they can feel camaraderie. I don't give a shit about. I don't have this death wish to try to everything I say and do to affect believers. Sometimes I just be happy to be who I am. I'm just happy for my community. I'm not on some crusade to try to make everything I do and say have to change somebody. Why? I don't have that goal. I don't, like I said in general, my goal is not to try to change the world by doing that. I try to change the world by inspiring people to be the best they can be. If people choose to still do that and be religious and great. I try to say it like this. I see religion like a gun. It is always loaded, but guess what? I'll admit that I like guns. I don't like them for everything, but guns sometimes people can use for healthy purposes. Sometimes the guns are not used to kill. The problem is, a loaded gun is always dangerous. And that's how I see religion. It's always dangerous. But I'll admit that not every gun is used to kill someone. And so that is the issue. If someone can do religion and somehow own a gun and not kill people, which is possible, then I don't have a problem. The problem is, like I said, I do know that loaded gun in your house when you're not there can be stolen from someone else. A child can pick it up and kill themselves with that loaded gun. Religion is always a loaded gun that has the potential to kill children, to kill other people. What's so funny is sometimes you, yourself, if you're religious, that loaded gun, you'll never use that. But you know what? Other people do. And when you leave that gun around, because religious do that, they'll spread their religion everywhere. They'll leave their loaded gun everywhere. And you know what? Someone is going to pick up that loaded gun and kill someone. And it is your fault. just as a responsible person owns a loaded gun, you don't leave it unattended. So if you believe in your religion, like you should with a gun, keep it to yourself. Keep it safe. Make sure you're not spreading it where innocent minds could then use that gun to kill. So I don't have a problem if people keep their religion to themselves. I don't have a problem if people have a religion. But be responsible, because it's a dangerous thing. Just like a loaded gun.
It can be a slippery slope.
But anyways, it was nice doing an interview with you and meeting you.
Great.
Did it.
And